It's another job I've been meaning to do on the BMW. It's over a year now, but I dropped it off its center stand. I was trying to get it onto the center stand, not paying attention, and it fell away from me and landed on its side, which didn't do too much damage, except that it broke the screen. It completely shattered the plastic screen. So I bought a new screen. It's a PUIG, however that's pronounced, Puig screen. So I got the exact replacement screen, which is good. Well, this one's clear. The previous one was smoked. I think I prefer the clear. So that was fine. Stuck that back on, and I've been running it ever since. But I could, as you're running along, sort of aware that the thing isn't quite square. And sure enough, if you look at it in a bit more detail, this adjuster is completely bent across, and this Cymarc aftermarket protector for the display, that seems to have come loose as well and has been pushed back. So something else is wrong as well. So I think I'll have to take it off and just work out what's bent and try and straighten it out and put it back together square. I've also got these other Cymarc stiffeners on the screen to stop it wobbling about. They work really well. So that's what these are. I never use the adjuster basically. I keep it in one position 99.9% of the time and find that perfectly adequate. Just looking at it a bit closer up, so this is distinctly bent inwards. I say this has lost its connection to reality. And something's going on back here, I think. The other end of the BMW adjuster looks slightly awry down here. So again, I'll have a look at that. First thing is to just take the screen off, I think, the first instance, and then work my way down from there. So these long hex Torx bits are really handy for these screws on the screen. Trying to use an ordinary key is a bit of a nightmare because you can't get them in apart from 1/6 of a turn at a time. Whereas these, you can whip them out pretty quickly. These Cymarc clamps are fine. I mean, they're very good. They're stainless steel, except by the looks of it for the screw in this thumb screw, which is obviously not stainless and rusty, but yeah, so minor point. So these little wings come off with just two screws, one there and one here. I've got the camera mounted on here, my Innovi dash cam in effect. There's one on the back as well, but that's better. I can start to see the mechanism. I wonder if this bracket could be bent, or whether it's all just from up here. That doesn't look right, the way that's cocked over on there. I think this could be that this joint is, yeah, it is, that's broken there. It looks like I need a new one of these. I'll get further into it and make sure. So there's the other wing off. I can take this little deflector off as well. That's broken. Interestingly, not catastrophically, but whoops. Yeah, maybe it is catastrophically. So that's not good. New one of those would be good. Or repair, perhaps. On this side, this is still in one piece. It looks as if this angle here is this is actually a ball joint. So that being looking sort of out of true doesn't matter because it is actually like a rose joint in effect. I'm saying this side, but whereas this one is intact, this one is distinctly broken. Not sure how that's held in. Could be a, looks like a groove for a circlip, but there's no sign of a circlip. Maybe it just pushes out. So there's the Cymarc green stiffener, which is a useful thing to have, in my view. But I'm quite wrong, I think. I thought that this adjuster was bent because it was looking, as an angle this way. But it's obvious that it's supposed to be that way, so it leans in towards the rider. So that's good news. I think the reason I thought it was bent was that the turn thumb screw thing here was touching this display projector, but in fact that was because this had moved forwards rather than this had bent in. So it looks like the B&W part is sound, and I can easily put this back in its place and attach it with the same screw that it used originally. So that's good news. So it looks as if it's just this part that's broken. So I take this off and work out a way of getting this off. I can just get another one of these, I think, or maybe repair this one, and we should be back to normal. So that's the Cymarc display protector off, and it's distinctly bent. I can straighten that out in the vise and put it back on. One of the reasons for, well, the main reason for these is that the display here is supposed to be really easy to take off. By the looks of it, there's a screw here, and the rest just does indeed just pop off. That's a sort of rubberized mount there. This one is too, but it does have this retaining screw. I guess it's probably just pushed in at the bottom somewhere. So yeah, it would be quite easy to take off it, provided you can take that screw out or rip it out. Because of course, as with the modern TFT displays, these are apparently very expensive to replace. Probably less so on the second-hand market nowadays on this older bike, but still, that's why this was on there. Got one of these screws out that holds this adjuster on. But this one at the bottom is very close to the display, which is sort of a bit of an issue. So this does just push out. In fact, that might give me enough clearance. Maybe if I use the right key it would help, wouldn't it? These wearer keys have a sort of ball end on one end, which is actually very useful. They do work at a surprising angle from the centre line of the screw. Okay, so this adjuster is held on with two screws. There's one there and one at the back here. And with those off, I can actually get to this Torx here. Just about. I'm hoping will let me get this off. So I'm going to try and grip this with this twin grip piece of cloth to try and avoid marking it too much, and see if this will undo now. There we go. It's better. Right. So will this move out the way enough to get it off? I think it will. There we go. Yeah. Yeah, so that is a... I don't know what you can see in there, but that is a spherical bearing in effect. So this can move along this rod without causing any issues. Yeah, interestingly, this is only held at the top by the looks of it. With this screw, I'll put that back in so I don't lose it. But yeah, that would just drop out on the floor if I let it. So the last obstacle is getting this pin out. So it's obviously a... Oh, maybe it just pulls out. Oh, it does. Would you believe it? Just pulls straight out. Looks like there's nothing retaining it at all. That seems implausible. Maybe there's a elastomer in there, I don't know. Doesn't look like it. Looks like there's nothing holding it in. Maybe the rest of the hardware stops this from migrating out somehow. Maybe the the part that holds the screen on stops that happening. That's quite handy. So this arm is fine, but this one, see that crack almost all the way through. a little bit left just here, but otherwise it's completely gone. So yeah, that needs replacing, because that is critical to supporting this side, although it's also held on the ironwork around here quite rigidly. This is why the screen didn't actually drop off, but this should be there definitely. So looking at this shield off here, this side of course is broken and dropped off straight away. I've noticed that this one is actually broken as well, it's cracked. I did actually paint this black. I painted this side black and left it to show black through the front, just because it always looks dirty basically, which is, may seem strange for me and for somebody that doesn't polish the bike very much, but yeah, painting it black just made it look better. So anyway, I think I'm going to abandon that. I couldn't find one online, certainly not at a reasonable price. So what I did find while I was searching on eBay was this second-hand Tourtech version. So I say second-hand, so it's not too expensive. It's got a very minor chip in the front, but that doesn't really bother me. But sure enough, that does indeed fit perfectly and extends over the front and doesn't have the clear plastic up here that say shows as dirty. So hopefully that's a kind of a win-win. Well, it's been a few days and a package has arrived from a Chinese supplier, I believe, off eBay. These are relatively cheap. I forget the exact price. I'll look it up. But these look to be pretty good. So there's a pair, it's a complete set, even though of course I only need one immediately. Actually, it looks to be identical. Even the lettering on here is the same. Obviously the date is different, the date code. But yeah, that font is slightly different. But it looks to be certainly the right part. Yeah, this new one doesn't have. There's a date and time in there from the mould. That doesn't appear on here. But yeah, otherwise it looks pretty good. So this ball joint is quite a cunning arrangement, and that's replicated here as well. So yeah, I'm only going to fit the one, I think, the one that's broken. So this is the one that's broken, cracked there. So yeah, let's put it back together. Meanwhile, this fits here somewhere, there, and onto the sliding part here. So yeah, here's the pin, and this fits on here. There's actually a plastic bush in here as well, so it's all quite nicely made, as you'd expect, I guess. So here's the upright. There's a screw in the top and actually a screw in the bottom as well, which I hadn't realised before. But there's this little plastic bush again, which seems to act to keep the metal off this metal part, keep it remote from the actual steel rod. So that goes up there. So there isn't a metal and metal contact that can rattle in there. That little plastic part keeps them separated once it's lined up properly, which it is now. Right, so that's tightened up, Loctited on, and definitely looks better. Now works as it should. As I say, I normally leave it fully raised pretty much 100% of the time, but still, at least it should be square this time, now that this is not flopping about. Right, so what next? So that was on there. I'll see if it still fits with the Tourtech deflector on it. I think these are going to be sensible to put on next. So that one's got a bolts here, which is actually a hex socket rather than a Torx, because it's an aftermarket part. And there's another bolt goes through down here. Again, it's a hex socket. So the other thing I need to work out is how this fits on, because that fits onto the same screw somewhere. Yeah, this Cymarc Speedo protector does have some slots cut in it, so they intend this to bend slightly to suit the bike as it's fitted. Right, so that is all back on. This new bracket is on, probably on this spindle. The bracket for the GPS is held on with these two socket heads. There's one there and there's one underneath here. That's in place. The one that holds this on is in place as well. And this is the Cymarc bracket, which has got a captive nut on the end. You can see the one on the other side. So that hex socket goes through and picks up that captive nut, which is on the Cymarc bracket. Same on this side. And between those is the protector for the display, which is now secure again, as it was out of place and slightly bent before, but that's now in place and it's going around the display, not touching it, but it's all rigid. So that's all good. So I think the only outstanding things now are to get this front on and the winglets on the side, work out whether this is going to need modifying, and then I just reattach the screen and we're home and dry. So these go here, which means I think that this will be okay, because it's I made the bracket out of stainless with that point on it to fit into this, so that's okay because the Tourtech thing fits underneath. Yeah, I think that'll work. Good. There is a torque for these, but I'm not going to bother. Just do up as seems right. I'll do. So that will go there, and I'm going to use a special screw for that, which is this one, M5. It's just easier to get the Allen key onto this, and it's a lower profile. Just fits better with the camera bracket. That's all back on, and so the bracket doesn't look too bad. I'll try and orient it that way slightly. That's better. So yeah, this Tourtech thing looks okay. This slightly weird little spike on the front, but these winglets are on again now. So certainly this Tourtech thing is better than this old one with the way it's cracked. This is it feels like ABS, so it's stiffer, not a stiffer. It's less brittle than this acrylic. So that's good. I've checked the screen, and sure enough, these little spurs on the side here, they do align with the pins and keep the pins in. So that's quite neat. No need for any circlips on those pins, so they're held in by the screen itself. So I'm going to give the screen a quick clean. Look at this Plexus plastic cleaner and polish. Allegedly, this is what they use on aircraft canopies, so it seems to work pretty well. I've used it for a number of years now, so give that a go. Right, all back together, and it looks straight, would you believe? Lightly polished, but yeah, that's much better. And it's good, I guess, to have the that broken wind deflector replaced as well. So yeah, now hopefully it'll go for another few years, and I won't drop it on its side again. Thanks for watching.